So there's two things that I always look for. One is storytelling and the other is consistency. What's really gonna get you in the door with those creative discussions is your portfolio and body of work. But what's gonna get you the job is gonna be how you solve problems for the artist. What's going on, guys? Today we're gonna go through some of your most commonly asked questions about how to get started as a creative director in the music industry. The right way to build a portfolio, the right way to gain clients, and we're gonna be talking about a few insider tips that are gonna help you get ahead of the curve as you are becoming a creative director in the music industry. And you guys are definitely gonna wanna hang around to the end because I'm gonna read you an email that I got that really felt very poignant to me and really challenged a lot of the ideas and a lot of the work that we do as creative directors in the industry. But first, my name is Evan Kaufman. I'm a creative director and a filmmaker working exclusively in the music industry. My job, which I think is the coolest job in the world, is to help an artist come up with visuals and aesthetics that really bring you into the world that they're trying to create with their music. This channel exists to help other creatives learn and grow in this industry and really focus on the next generation of creative directors. The number one question that I get asked all the time: how do I get started? What I tell everybody is really focus on what your unique angle is as you approach creative direction. Do you have a background in photography? Do you have a background in design? Are you a music video director? What are your roots and how can you parlay that into becoming a creative director? Because those roots are really what's going to help you define yourself as a creative director, and it's really going to help define the heart and soul of the work that you do. But at the same time, what's really great about this role is it's a job where you don't necessarily need to have a background in photography or design or styling. Now, don't hear me wrong, because it definitely helps to have a general understanding of how each of those creative components leads up to the bigger picture. Because if you're not the one on the ground taking the photos, you need to be able to articulate the vision to the photographer. You need to be able to articulate the type of grain that you want. You need to be able to talk to them about the slow shutter speed effect you want, the lighting, etc. All of these things are really going to help you dial in your work if you're not the person who's actually taking photos. And I'll say this, if you do need one skill for this job, I would say that it needs to be mood boards and creative treatments. You need to really be able to visually articulate an idea to a client. So make sure that pitch decks, mood board, treatments, everything is really thought out and really on brand for what you were trying to achieve creatively. All right, another question that I get asked all the time is, what is the most important skills to have as a creative director? So there's two things that I always look for. One is storytelling and the other is consistency. So for instance, your portfolio should not just show the final results of an album cover that you designed. It should show the process of creating that cover. Really show the process of how this vision started and where it evolved to. So it should show original mood boards, sketches, discussions with the artist, and then show off the consistency that's in that album artwork that translates across the board. So show off the artist's styling and how the aesthetics are similar. You can show content videos or music videos that have similar themes and ideas as what's happening within that album cover. But keep in mind that all these pieces should be pointing back at each other. It's just like the Spider-Man meme. Everything should be pointing back to each other creatively and aesthetically. And that is really good creative direction. And I'll give you guys a little industry insight here too. What's really going to get you in the door with those creative discussions is your portfolio and body of work. But what's going to get you the job is going to be how you solve problems for the artist. What problems, you might ask? So a lot of the discussions that I have with artists is really framed around, hey, we love this style, we love this aesthetic, but we don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing. We want to put our unique spin on it. And that's really where it becomes a creative director's job, is to solve that problem and figure out exactly what makes the music or the artist's theme or the messaging or the logo or the look as unique as it is, that it can translate into the aesthetic that they want. Another big question that I get asked all the time is, how do I get my first clients? What I always tell everybody is start small, reach out to independent artists who you either know or like their music, and just get a discussion going. I think a really good question to ask artists, especially in the beginning, is what are you guys doing creatively right now that feels like it's not working or feels like it's not hitting the mark that you guys originally thought it would or should? Here's another industry insight here. A lot of record labels and management companies will have what they call a hidden roster, where it's a roster of artists that they're developing, younger artists that they are developing who aren't necessarily ready to put on their official roster yet. When you reach out to those management companies or labels, ask them if you can start a rapport or a discussion with any of the artists that they are developing that might not be on the roster. And it's going to let you get in on the ground level of that artist's creative development. And keep in mind, make sure you keep everybody happy. Make sure you keep management happy. Make sure you keep the label happy. Make sure you keep the artist happy. Because at the end of the day, and this is super, super cheesy, and we've all heard it a zillion times in our life, but it's really true, this is an industry where it really is all about who you know. And I hate to even say that, but a lot of the time, the work that you do almost comes secondary to who you know in this industry. So play nice and try to keep a positive relationship. So another question that I get asked all the time is, do I need special gear for this? The answer is no, you don't. One of the best creative directors that I've ever known my entire life had a phone, and that was it. He didn't have a computer, he didn't have a camera, he didn't have lenses, he didn't even, at this time, he didn't even have a car. And he would make treatments on his phone, and he would make pitch decks on his phone and send those to clients. And this guy worked a lot, and he works a lot right now still. So there's really no excuse. If you have a phone and can put together visuals, you are good to go. I will say this also, a lot of creative directors, and I think a lot of creatives across the board, really tend to not put enough emphasis on the business aspect of it. It's really important that you guys know contracts. It's really important that you guys know budgeting, ROI. Those are elements that are going to make you successful financially in this industry. So yes, put all of the work into passion on the creative side, but don't overlook the business end of it because it's very, very crucial. And guys, at the end of the day too, this is really big. Being able to explain how your creative choices contribute to a brand's bottom line or to an artist's bottom line can really elevate your position from, designer or creative director to a strategic partner. And that is a really special place to be. So always put a really big focus on how the work that you are doing can really grow that artist brand. All right, how do I stand out in a super crowded and saturated field? This is everybody's biggest problem. The answer is that you really need to allow time to develop your own unique style. If you're going to be a creative director, you really need to be in it for the long haul because your artistic senses are going to develop and change as well over time. You have to be continually building a portfolio, but at the same time showing off the work that you are doing. So post on socials, talk about the entire process, network with other artists, network with other creatives, and don't try to rush the process. Also, one thing that's really going to get you ahead of the curve in this sense and all senses is really making sure that you're meeting deadlines and landing on budget. I think one of the biggest complaints that I see on more of the admin side of the job I do is creatives going over budget and not landing on the deadlines. All right, another really good question that I get asked a lot is, how do I develop a unique creative vision or brand for myself? I think you need to be experimenting constantly and seeking inspiration from outside of the industry. Look for inspiration in architecture, look for inspiration in fine art, but take all these ideas and roll them up into your own work. And I think that that really helps you develop a unique vision and brand for yourself. So now, I want to read you guys an email that somebody sent me that was very, very poignant and very much sort of at the heart and soul of questions that we ask ourselves as creatives and things that we need to wrap our heads around to try to get over this sort of creative hump. So they said, "Dear Even, I really enjoy this channel. I've been working as a creative director for the past 3 or 4 years and I love it, but I often find myself wondering, how do we as creative directors balance creating work that really resonates with people on a human level while also meeting the commercial expectations of an industry that sometimes feels more driven by trends than human meaning?" Man, that is, I think, the real question that we are stuck with. If we are lucky enough to have a job where we are making money using our brains and our creativity, we're kind of left with this because so much of our creative work starts at our core, right? It's really our creative and our taste is really dictated by things we've been through in life, things that we appreciate, things that we don't appreciate, but really having this sense of what's cobbled together to make us creatives. And I think for me, really the only way that I've really been able to come to grips with this is really trying to accept that there's a difference between commercial creative work and personal creative work. And unfortunately, it can really be hard to differentiate between the two. And like I said earlier, because creativity is so close to us and so at the core of what makes us us, it can really be difficult to differentiate from these two ideas. So I think at the core of it, it's really about finding a balance in doing personal work versus commercial work. And I think you really have to put an emphasis back on personal work. You have to really, I think, intentionally retrain your mind and brain about what you love about being a creative, and then utilize that on a personal project. So whether you go out and do a short film, or whether you go out and do a photography project, but it's really, I think the best way to really approach that is take big creative risks on personal projects, because those creative risks you will be able to witness pay off in different ways, and then you can take what you learned from that and turn that into the next commercial project. So it's really about walking that line and finding that balance between being a professional creative and a hobbyist, and really putting focus back on being a hobbyist in a lot of those ways. So guys, I really hope that this helped. If you guys like this channel, if you guys appreciate this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please give me a like, please give me a share, please tell your friends. It really helps me grow this channel. And if you guys have questions, again, always feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm at Evan Kaufman. Always feel free to email me, evankaufman@gmail.com. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.